as well. So hang tight. Going live and
hello.
Yeah, you probably want to mute your if you're watching this on your phone.
Muted.
Awesome. All right. Looks like we got some folks in there. Let me move to the chat window. All right. Okay, we got like 12 people in here. I will have it open on my phone as well. Hey, Roy. Hey, Roy. Roy is here. Always, Roy. He's funny. He's like, this should be fun. All right. Is it going up? Yeah, it's starting to. Hey, Vic. Vic's here. Looks like Phoenix is actually here. What's happening, Phoenix? Haven't seen you in a while. Okay. We're 3 after. How much time do you have today, Baron? What time do you need to get out so I can just time it, make sure that we can make sure we maximize your time here?
I'm good for now. I actually had something I rearranged from later, so I should be okay for a while.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Hey, Chuck. Chuck's in here. Vahagan, you're on here, and we're probably going to need you at some point on here, man, to talk about that Will Trucks video you just did. I just watched that whole thing. That was pretty awesome. I'd love to do a live stream with that lens, make you guys all dizzy. That was great.
And Mara, I can go to about 8:40.
8:40. Okay, great. We'll knock out Conowingo before 8:40. All right. Okay, so let's get underway. I think people will come in and out today, and thank you for joining. It's a pretty fired up topic. It has stirred up some tension among the Nikon community. It has probably raised some people's blood pressures. Hopefully, no one ended up in the ER. It's going to be okay. It's only a camera or a type of camera. And we can all agree to disagree. So what are we talking about today? So the main topic today is there's a reason why I have this guy up here, which is actually the Canon R7. And this is actually to put salt on the wound for Nikon to say, you don't have an R7 type camera on your platform, and I wonder why, right? And this is not a bad thing, guys. It's intentionally put there because it should be a message that should be going to Nikon. And JRod from JRod Photo is actually here. JRod Photo Art is here. That's James. Some of you have seen him in the past on live streams. So James, I'll give both of you a couple of minutes to really introduce yourselves on what you guys do. And then we also have, Baron from Photo Discourse that's actually here. And his is Photography Discourse is what his channel is called. And he is truly been following me on my channel for a very long time. And we really appreciate it. And recently we've actually gotten into a lot more of the talking terms and things like that. So I'm kind of glad to actually have him here because he made a video a few days ago which was really thought-provoking, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit as well. And then we'll jump into Conowingo, get James to sort of, share what we did out there, share some photos with you guys on the Z9 with the Sony 200 to 600 and the MacDep adapter. Yes, it can be done. Yes, it works, and we got living proof with real raw files. So no more BSing around that, we're making stuff up. We're actually going to show you the raw files that have not been edited right out of the camera on what it looks like. And then I think they look pretty awesome. So I think you guys just hang tight. And, if some of your buddies are not here that should be here, call them, get them in here because you really don't want to miss this thing. And I will repost this. I'm not going to take it down like some other channels do because things get said, that they didn't like very much. So they just delete the whole live stream. We're not going to do that here. We're going to make sure it's available for everyone. And we're going to keep it civil. So with that, let me go ahead and actually introduce James from JD Art Photo. And why don't you go ahead and actually talk about sort of what your channel is about, what you do, and if you actually, how long have you been doing photography? Let's just talk about that, right?
Sure.
Let's get that out of the way. And then, what are your plans in the next, 6 to 12 months into something that you might want to actually, get better at in photography that you might not be. I'm still learning. I still find those kind of things to do. So I'm just curious to see what both of you think. So James, why don't you go first, and then Baron will have you go.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm James. My YouTube channel is JRodPhotoART. I am a long time, since the 80s, Nikon shooter, only because my father was a Nikon shooter, so I decided to go with Nikon. So I've pretty much stuck with it ever since. I did buy a Canon film camera back in the day. It worked fine, but it had all the Nikon gear. So yeah, I'm just your average guy, always, still working full time. I'm not retired like some folks, but I love to go shoot photography, every bit of it. I have not specialized in any one type of photography, but lately, I love to do anything with nature, outdoors, and bird photography. So that is why I stepped up to the Z9 for the speed and the power of the Z9. But even with a nice camera, it's so difficult to do birds in flight. So, but I experiment with gear. I talk to friends. I joined all the groups here. It's just been a great time. So, yeah, I think
Absolutely.
that kind of rounds me off a little bit there, Amar.
Yeah. No, that's great. No, it's awesome to hear about sort of who you are, what you do. He does work for the government. Well, I'm not going to tell you what he does, but he does, and he has a pretty respectable career. So you're not talking to someone that is just trying to wing it out there. He's a family man. I can share a little bit more about James. We both have actually gone out and shot together. We even took a long walk together. That walk was, I think, more profound going to the dam than shooting at the dam. I thought. I mean, it was just a beautiful moment of two people just walking and just talking about life. And we didn't talk about how big our sensors were. We didn't do any of that. I don't think we did. We talked about cameras too much at all, did we?
No.
For that whole walk. So we'll get into that in a second. But let's introduce Baron. So Baron, who are you? What are you all about? What is your channel all about? Because I like the passion that you have, because it reminds me of sort of when I first started my channel. I think you've been following me for a very long time now.
Yeah,
And I see that passion in you, so I really love it. So I'm just going to turn it over to you. Go for it.
well, I appreciate that, Amar. My name's Baron. The channel's Photography Discourse, but it's pretty new. Um, Generally speaking, yeah, I saw Amar's channel actually back right when the Z6 first came out in 2018, when everyone was dumping on it, and Amar was there and saying, "Hey, I'm a Canon shooter, but Nikon people are welcome here." And I appreciated that. I thought that was a cool thing to say, especially in that environment at the time. It was pretty hostile. Um, Speaking for myself, like just like is it John? J-Rod, your name is John?
James.
James. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
James.
that's okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So like James, I've also been a Nikon shooter for a long time, since the 80s. I also got into Nikon because my mom had a bunch of Nikon gear and gave it to me in high school. I think I was a freshman, maybe a sophomore. I can't remember. And it was like an FE2 and a bunch of old Nikkor lenses from the 70s. And I started shooting on those, and then they got ripped off like within 6 months of starting. But I was already in Nikon, and I ended up getting an F4, and I shot with that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then through the 90s, I did a lot of film photography. I had a dark room for over 15 years. I did tons of dark room work and strobe work in the 90s. It was very different back then. We had the big power packs, and you had to have all kinds of power. You didn't have these battery pack awesome strobes we have today, which I
Yeah.
love because it's expanded my photography tremendously. Environmental portraiture outside, overcoming sunshine, that kind of stuff was hard to do back in the day. You had to have generators, and nowadays I can do it as a one-man show. It's a little
Yeah.
easier with an assistant, so I like that when I have one, but as a one-man show you can still do it. And I also shoot event and wedding photography as well with a photographic partner, who's a woman. She's my partner, but she's my business partner, not my girlfriend, who's
Awesome.
somebody else. So that's kind of that. Photography Discourse, I started very recently, and I didn't start it really for notoriety or fame, or even to necessarily become a huge channel. I just wanted to be able to, sometimes I'd hear things online from other folks around the world. And sometimes I thought it was great and agreed with it. And other times I thought that some of the things they were saying might have been something I disagreed with, or maybe a little bit misguided. And I kind of wrote a lot of comments for a while, and I was constantly commenting. And I just thought, maybe I just throw up a video saying what I think. And if 20 people see it, that's great. Because at least I got to say it. I didn't have to like sit behind my screen, like shouting at the screen. So, so that's kind of where that came from. And yeah, that's the story, I guess.
So let's talk a little bit about, since you have the mic right now, about the video that you just made a few days ago. It reminded me of my old days, and just the tone of it, the thought process behind it. Why don't you share with us sort of what that is, so folks can actually go to your channel and really watch it. If you haven't watched this video and you're a Nikon shooter, you really should, and actually just listen to sort of what he has to say. So can you summarize it for us on what we can expect in that video?
Yeah, I appreciate that, those comments, Amar. The video is about the upcoming, I guess rumored, but it's pretty solid rumor at this point, the upcoming Z8. The Z8 has been a camera of a lot of controversy in the Nikon world, I think, because there's kind of two camps of people whose opinions differ as to what this camera should be. And I take a position on that. My position is based largely on Nikon history, and also where I think the market segmentation is for such a camera, and where the needs are photographically. And I guess the short form would be, I think the Nikon Z8 is a professional photographer's camera, but it's kind of the all-around camera for pros, so it needs to have as many professional applications as possible. And as such, it requires high megapixels, because there's a huge segment of professional photography that works with high megapixels. I also think the camera will be able to be dumbed down, so that, and by dumbed down, I don't mean that negatively, I mean that actually positively. But it'll be able to be dumbed down in the sense that it'll be able to shoot smaller RAW files. And also it will have the HE technology, which is in the Z9, which is so great, which is already reducing file sizes significantly with almost no loss of quality. In some cases, like I guess HE Star has no loss according to Nikon. So that's really good news. So basically I just make the point that I think that of what I think the Z8 is. And I go into much more detail. Obviously, I don't want to take up too much time here about that. If you are interested in that, please take a look. I certainly welcome having you.
Yeah, please go to both of these channels, guys and gals, if whoever's here, and please subscribe to them and watch these videos I'm talking about, because I make videos too, but I watch them too. And that's why I got Baron on here, because I'm sitting there thinking, it's like this topic and what he just talked about, I think he really should be on the show, because it's right in line with sort of what we're talking about. And Baron, I put up this comment really more for you. Bass Angler, his name is actually Rodney. Rodney puts this up, and he's out in Walmart country out there. He puts, dude, that camera is Eddie Van Halen of DSLRs. He's talking about the D500. What are your thoughts on that?
On whether it's the Eddie Van Halen of DSLRs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if he means because of the shredding riffs of Eddie, then yeah, it's kind of high speed, very high speed camera. I think the D500 was specifically a baby D5, and they kind of, I don't even know if they marketed it that way officially, but I think unofficially and maybe even officially it was known that way.
Yeah.
It basically it did offer much of what the D5 offered for DX users at a much more affordable price. And I think that's why the camera thrives so well. It was sort of the go-to camera for basically, I mean, I'm going to say this, but I don't want it to be taken the wrong way. It was the go-to camera for amateur photographers that were very much into like sports action, wildlife stuff. And that said, it's totally like usable by pros, and like I'm sure pros used it, and I'm sure they've made a lot of money using it. So I don't mean to say that it's not capable of being a professional camera, because it is, and it was built as a professional camera. It actually has the pro UI of the Nikon line, and it in all ways is kind of a pro camera. It was just a little bit less expensive. Also, back in the day, they couldn't, the D500 wasn't capable of having high megapixels. So when you crop to DX, it would get pretty thin. Obviously today that's a little different, but there's still a price point issue at hand. The Z9's $5,500, which is an awesome price for the camera that it is, but it's still a hefty price, especially
Right.
for someone who's a hobbyist.
Right.
And so is there room? So I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here. Is there room for a Z5 or call it a Z90, which is the D500 replacement in mirrorless? I definitely believe there is a place for that camera. I definitely believe it would sell extremely well among its user base, which is significant. That's my opinion. I want to say just very briefly, I don't know. I didn't see a whole lot about the interaction between you, Amar, and Matt Irwin. I will say this. Matt Irwin is someone I've also watched for some time. I think since maybe his channel was around, I don't know, less than 5,000. I can't remember, but I think he's above 30 today. And Matt is a interesting guy. I actually do like his channel quite a bit. I've watched it over the years. I've learned a lot from it. He's also, I think he said at one point that he's born in 1972. And if I'm wrong about that, I hope he'll correct me. But I think he said that, and it kind of put a soft spot in my heart for him because I'm also born in 1972.
Awesome.
And so we're sort of the same age, and I feel like he's seems like he's a really good guy, and I would love to know that guy and shoot with him. And if his opinion was, he may have a differing opinion on the D500 and its successor than I do. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. I think if we all got in a room and spoke about it, maybe we would probably all be more in agreement than we think.
Right.
But anyway, I think he's a great guy. I do like his channel. And I hope as photographers, I think we should all especially as Nikon people. And I know, Amar, you're not specifically a Nikon person, but I'll give you credit. You're Nikon adjacent. And, and maybe
I like that.
You're Nikon adjacent, and I think maybe you'll even have a Nikon in your hand as well at some point soon, which would
Most
be awesome.
likely,
yeah. So we all should stick together and enjoy the fact that we have a craft that we all dearly love and appreciate.
So you set me up for a perfect segue, right? So let's talk about this briefly, and then James, we're gonna hop onto the Conowingo side of the thing to actually really talk about what our opinion and our experience has been in the real world outside of this YouTube bubble that we live in, right? So what I wanted to say is you're absolutely correct. He's a great guy, and he makes great content. However, I see on Chuck's live streams and all these other places, people are constantly bickering and crying that they don't have that on the Nikon platform. I want it. I want a 200 to 600. I want an R7 type of camera, and I want it like yesterday. Where is it? And it's not one people. I'm talking thousands and thousands of people are asking for this stuff like no tomorrow. And when I hear someone that is such a prominent stance of 30, 40,000 subscribers and a great reach like that, speaking on behalf of Nikon to say, well, it's a great market, but I don't think it's quite as important as something else, you're dismissing that market. And I think that's probably not the right thing. And that's my opinion. Okay. So again, he's entitled to his, I'm entitled to mine. We can agree to disagree. But if you look in the comments alone, the amount of people that have the D500 that really want to use the Z glass, they can't. They don't have a DX type camera or equivalent. The Z50 is a nice camera, but it's not a D500 replacement. It really is not, right? And a lot of people use it as if you want to call it workaround for now.
I'm sorry, which camera are you speaking about? The Z9?
The Z50.
Oh, the D8, I'm sorry?
The Z50.
Oh, the Z50. Oh, yeah.
No. Because that's the only DX one that they have right now. That and the ZFC is really all you got on the Z lineup. To be able to use Z lenses. And I get it. There's not a massive difference in optical quality between the Z and the previous lenses. However, when you're moving to the mirrorless side of the house, you do want to, get what's native for that particular mount and just continue to build, right? Same thing with Canon.
I would disagree. I do think there's a big difference between the Z glass and the prior glass.
You think so on the long telephotos?
Oh. Well, on the pro level telephotos.
Yeah, that's what I
On
meant.
the
Sorry.
Okay, I thought we were talking like lower line stuff.
No, I mean with the big throw on the Z mount, it's a huge benefit because with wide angle lenses, they are really seeing the benefits of that big time, right? So medium telephoto to wide angle, the big mirrorless camera, big
Oh,
throated mirrorless cameras between that and the Canon systems, they're scoring, right? Because
Yeah,
those wide angles are awesome.
I mean, there's a great video. I think I mentioned this to you before we were alive, Amar. But there's a great video by Steve Perry.
Yeah, you
Um,
did
uh,
mention it.
yeah, and he put it out in the last couple of days, and he compares the new Z mount 400 2.8 TC to the F mount, or sorry, it was the 600
right,
F4 TC. My bad. Excuse me. Thanks, James. And also the F mount to the F mount F4, the predecessor, as well as to the 800 PF Z mount, as well as to the Sony 600 F4.
Hmm.
And just I mean, I recommend everyone watch that video who has an interest in this because it's really good.
Okay.
But ultimately, his conclusion is that the image quality of all of those lenses are so good that
Hmm.
the only differences you can see are at such magnification that you would
right,
never notice them in the real world.
Right.
But that said, there is a real advantage to the built-in TC because it creates different use cases that the other lenses just can't duplicate.
Yeah.
So
No, I,
that's
I totally agree.
right.
And what I wanted to get out here, and then we can probably lay this topic to rest. Look, I have nothing against Matt, right? He's a great guy, like I said. However, the main reason for me to make my second video was when you come to my channel and you take the people that have something positive to say about whatever their opinion is. So everyone's opinion is positive in their own intent, right? And someone else's opinion is going to seem like, hey, this guy's being negative towards me because I think differently. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. They just think differently, right? So when you come in here and you go, comment by comment and you try to prove your point, oh no, I really didn't do this. The research should have been done. Well, your words are saying something very different than what you're typing, right? So that's why I played it like 5 different times. It was not trying to be comical. It's just proving a point to say, look, let's lay this to rest. But the bottom line is the DX market is very, very much alive. And James, I'm going to jump right into sort of what you and I saw firsthand. We were standing there. I mean, we're about to do this again on Friday, and we'll take pictures, so many pictures for you guys, just flood probably the community tabs, right, on all these channels, just to show it to you. We're probably talking about what, at least $500,000 worth of lenses, at least there,
Easily. And that
easily.
was and that was a light day.
Yeah, that was a light day. So let's just say $1 million worth of lenses. And how many DX cameras that were made by Nikon were out there? How many D500s did we see? I probably can just think right now, at least over 11 to 12 that I saw across the board, right? And
Easily.
these people are, every time they would see the R7, it's like, is that the R7? Is that the R7? I wish we had it. I wish we had it. It's like, these are people that have like $15,000 lenses on these D500s dying for that camera. And then you have someone here shoots, sunsets with a 600 f4, you know, saying, oh, it's not a good enough market. Oh, well, okay, maybe not to you, but there are
I,
real people that shoot this for a living.
I,
It's very, they really want it.
I think that's totally right, Amar. I think there's a ton of people that want that camera very badly. I wouldn't speak for Matt. I suspect, Matt, the kind of shooter Matt is, he's a nighttime shooter. He does a lot of
Right,
city stuff at night,
right,
very good stuff, very cool stuff. And he does, a lot. I think he does like event style stuff and corporate style stuff. And
right.
really, he's a full frame shooter. And I think he basically admits that he might have gotten carried away. I think we all look at the new cameras that are coming through our own eyes, through our own glasses,
That is
because it's
correct.
really what we want, right? Like,
Yeah,
do I
yeah.
think that a D500 Z mount replacement should come out? I absolutely do. Am I personally looking forward to that camera
Probably
specifically?
not.
Not really.
Right,
So if I'm going to talk, so you'll notice on my video, I talked about the Z8 and what
right.
I think it's going to be, right? I didn't even talk about the
That's why
Z.
I wanted you on here because I
Right.
wanted a different view of it.
Right. So I feel like Matt may have made an offhanded comment that he probably doesn't even agree with. Like, because I did see the one thing that you played where he said, maybe they'll do a DX, but who knows? Maybe not. It's not the most important thing right now. When he said that, I feel like he did say it, but I also feel like contextually he wasn't thinking that way. I feel like he was thinking like what he really wants to see come out and what he thinks is good for so I think I actually, and I also would remind everyone, like, and I have this problem so much in my own life. How many times I've gotten into trouble with somebody because I did it because if it was a text message and it wasn't a verbal communication.
Should have sent me an email. And a lot of people said this, right? It's like, hey man, you made this, send me an email. Rather than that, you went to literally, I don't even know how many of my subscribers, and they're like, hey man, he's actually just writing all this stuff saying that, what I've written doesn't even count. I'm like,
fair,
no, it does count.
Fair, but let's there's like an old saying that was like, give everybody a second chance, but not a third.
Right.
So what I would say is like, I think this was a big misunderstanding. And I really do think that. And I would ask you, Amar, to like consider, putting this one behind and just assuming
I'm done. This is it. I mean, and I'm going to be very, very blunt right now. I did this for the Nikon community that we have, right? Because I do have a lot of people that shoot Nikon that follow my channel. Now, from here, it's really in your hands whether you get a D500 replacement or not. If you don't, you're always welcome to pick up one of these. Some of you have already done that, right? And a lot of you will continue to do that until Nikon makes one. And if they don't make one, I think it's really going to be a lost cause on them, because I think they have something so profound at their fingertips right now that if they made that camera, you won't be able to buy one for years to come. Because so many people will want that camera. And so just look at the comment by Jeff and Leslie right here.
Yeah, Jeff and Leslie Wildlife.
Yeah, read that comment.
Yeah, it says, Amar, what I really want is a mirrorless camera that is kind of a tank professional body as the D500, Z9 body without grip, and DX would be perfect. And that's exactly what I think the Z90 would end up being. Right. Exactly that.
Yep. And that's why
he's describing a D500, what the D500 was to the D5, more or less.
Right. So, exactly. So with that, we're going to take Nikon's flagship. So if you're a Nikon shooter, you should be happy about one thing. You actually at least have a flagship. I don't even have a flagship. I got something like a flagship. It's called an R3. It ain't an R1. So be happy with your flagship. Enjoy it. Cherish it, especially if you own one and you're able to buy one, because very few brands actually have look how long it took Sony to come out with something like an A1. It took them 8 years. And Nikon actually hit it out of the park in 3 years? Canon hit it out of the park with the R3, R5 in 3 years? So, the progression is going to increase. And there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to get, I don't want to call it a baby Z9, but I think you're going to get a flavor of the Z9 in a crop body that's going to blow your mind. And with that smaller sensor, faster readout, all kinds of crazy stuff it's going to be able to do. So with that, let's take the Z9, if you're okay with it, James, and let's actually share the picture. So someone actually made a comment about the 800 PF earlier. Let me say one thing about the 800 PF. I got confirmation today, James, that someone is driving down from New York with a Z9 and a 800 PF to the dam this Friday. So we'll definitely try and see maybe if we can get your Z9 mounted onto it and take some shots, and then maybe bring them back, to be able to share here, because that lens is very hard to get right now, and it's pretty incredible.
I have to say, like that lens, so Steve Perry did review that lens and put it up against like the 600 f4 with the 1.4 TC. So it's like an 800 to an 840 comparison. So it's virtually the same. Yeah. And the IQ of the 800 PF was like basically identical. It was, you only could tell at the most high magnifications. And I think I have to say, like, I'm not really a wildlife photographer, not because I don't think it's cool, or I actually do think it's cool. I like all photography. I just don't have an opportunity that often to do that kind of stuff, and I'm doing other things. But I have to say, like, if I was that kind of a photographer, I think it's an awesome time to be a Nikon guy. The lenses that Nikon is offering are unmatched by other companies right now.
Yep.
Like that 800 is unmatched. There's nothing from any other company that even comes close to
Not
that
for
at
that
that price.
price. There's nothing even
Nothing.
close. Yeah.
Nothing. It's not even
Nothing.
close.
Got to get it out there though. They got to. What's the holdup?
That's true.
gotta
They
get
are.
it
That
out
is a
there.
big. That is a big problem, and
Yep.
that's a huge problem. So I agree with that too.
Yep.
All right. Let's take a look at interesting combination. All right. Hang
I mean,
tight,
the
guys.
flintlock
This is
says
one.
800 PF better have a lot of light. I guess that's true. Most 800s are 5.6 anyway, so you're talking about a third of a stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With today's ISOs, I don't think
It's
that a
nothing.
third of a stop matters.
It's
I just
nothing.
don't.
On a Z9, it's nothing. It's
it's
not even
nothing.
worth talking about. Exactly. Here. Are we able to see this? You can, right? All
I
right.
can see. I can see it.
All right, James. I'm going to pick some of the ones. I know you shot some of these up here. I remember shooting the ones
Yeah.
by. I shot these guys here,
Okay.
and then you shot these down here, and there are some pretty good ones down here. So, and these were the ones that I shot when I shut off the 3D tracking and took over the autofocus because I read the manual. I actually read the manual for the firmware update 3.0 before going to shoot. So we took it over, and we really got some incredible results. So let's go ahead and start up here. I'm going to actually show you this. So what you're seeing right now are all shots shot on the Z9 with the 200 to 600 lens. Oh, okay, hold on. I have the legend here. Hey, Ron, what's happening?
Ron in the house.
Ron
guys.
Pollard, the
Ron
man.
Pollard, we're talking about your favorite subject now.
Okay. How you doing? Good evening, fellas.
Hello, Ron.
Doing good, man. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you for the invitation.
I'm going to come to your subject too, but this one is more exciting right now because we got a Sony lens on a Z9. See?
Okay.
With that
this is.
MagDap adapter.
I just
And
want to say this is
Go ahead.
super exciting to me. This particular fact that these guys went out there and shot the Z9 with an adapted Sony lens,
yeah,
and the results that, well, I haven't actually seen them yet, but from what Amar is telling me, and we're all about to see them together, sounds like the results are incredible. And he said that the tracking was on point.
it was spot on.
This speaks huge volumes for the Z mount, because
Absolutely.
if you can adapt a lens like that and make it like native, then
Yeah.
this whole nonsense about Nikon not having lenses is really like
Bingo.
It's just that it's nonsense. Anyway,
Bingo. Hey, Bassman, don't leave yet, man. I know you want the 200 to 600 on your Nikon, but you don't have a D500 replacement yet. I'm working on it. All right, there we go. All right, so let's. I'm going to open up only the RAW files, the NEF files, and we'll leave the JPEGs alone. So this is just one I'm going to pick.
All mine say JFR, so I think yours have something else on it.
Oh, it does it? Okay. All right, so these are yours, I think. This is yours. All right, I'm going to zoom in some more. And this is on the 200 to 600 on the Z9, guys.
nice.
I don't see anything wrong with it, do you?
Nope.
Let me go in some more.
That looks good.
And these are not edited. This is right out of the camera. So if you're a Nikon person and you've been looking for 200 to 600, stop wasting your time. Buy the $100 and $250 adapter and stick it on.
A third party made the adapter. What if Nikon made an adapter? Would that be sacrilegious?
They might not get authorization from Sony for that.
I mean, but look what the community is doing. They're forced. Other people are figuring it out how to do it.
Here's another shot that you shot.
Okay.
Now, all these are with the Z9 and the Sony lens.
Yeah, Sony lens, and you can bring this back. And these are not edited, Ron. So this is right out of the camera.
And this is your work, James?
Yep.
J-Rod?
Yeah,
Okay.
James shot these at the dam, and then these are his. Did you label mine? Yeah. Well, everything is labeled JFR. I know these were mine, and the ones behind like this, I shot these. But I know you shot this entire sequence right here. I remember you shooting this whole sequence. Yeah. Is there a way I can show the entire sequence? You guys could get an idea here. Let me just go ahead and actually open up one of these and then go all the way in.
That was
and
pretty
then go all the
far
way
out
in.
there.
Yeah, this is about probably a piece of mile out.
Now, which Sony lens is this specifically?
The
Again,
200 to 600 Sony.
and what's the aperture range on that?
4.5 to 6.3, I believe,
Yep. And I kept it at 600 all the way out.
the whole time. All right, here it is. This is a shot at 600 for sure. And this is like facing away, but you can get an idea. It nails it. Look at that eyeball.
JRod, may I ask him a question, Amar?
Yeah, sure.
Which focus mode were you in? Area focus mode were you in?
I was on the large box in animal eye detect.
Okay.
That is my comfortable spot.
Okay.
With the Z9, I don't keep it on the full auto.
Right.
I love,
Right.
there you go. That large box, yeah.
This is you.
Now, are you also a Sony shooter?
No, I don't have any Sony cameras.
Okay.
So this was my lens, Ron. I actually put it on there, and we got the adapter from J Moots. We got it from Moots. He sent the adapter.
Amar, the gull shot where he's got the water kicking up, that's the one that D-Moots really liked. There's
Which
a gull
one is that?
shot. He's the one on the left there, maybe, where the gull's kicking up the water. Yeah,
Right
try
here?
that one. Yeah, try that one. Yeah,
There you
that
go.
one.
Do me a favor, please.
What's
Is
that?
there any way you can email that to me directly?
This one?
Oh. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that thing's tack sharp.
I want to see that on my. I don't want to see it in a third. How do you call that?
On a third party
I don't want to see
screen?
it. I don't want to see it in a tertiary way.
Did you say a third party
I want to
screen?
see it primarily. I want to see it primarily on my
right.
computer. So if you
Hang
can-
on, Ron. Maybe, you know what? I'll have to do it. If I scroll away from this, it's gonna act all
But
weird
doesn't
because I'm actually
can't
carrying.
James do it from his
James, can you send him this? You want the raw file or the other?
Yeah, I need
the JPEG?
I
The
need
JPEG.
Ron's email.
It's
Ronald
4726.
30.
4726. File is the file.
Okay.
So
Ronald 30.
so Roy's asking how's the AF on the adapted Sony lens, guys. That's something to talk about right there.
All right, we're gonna talk about that in a second.
But also, are you able to drop? There's a comment that's up on the screen. It's been up for a while. It's blocking Ron's face.
Oh,
And
blocking
I
Ron's
got
face?
I don't want to see Ron.
Ron, what happened, man?
I don't know who put that there.
All right, can we see
There we
Ron's
go.
face now?
I can see Ron's face. That's what I want.
All right, I'm gonna put all of us to the right so we can see the pictures on the left.
Perfect.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
sorry
James-
about that.
And James, my email is ronald33@me.com.
How is the AF 3D tracking? We're gonna talk about all that. And Roy, I'm gonna share my story about the 3D tracking because I read the manual, the PDF for firmware version 3.0 the night before the firmware dropped, and the next day we took it out.
Okay.
And I'm going to share with you sort of the quirks that I went through and was able to adjust very quickly out there. If I didn't read that manual, I would have probably been very frustrated.
Now I've got a question. I've got a question for James and you, Amar.
Sure.
Both of you use the Z9 at
We
different
did.
times?
We did.
And did you use them at different times with different lenses?
Same time, same lenses. So that's how we know who shot what. James
Okay.
shot this.
So here's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
With you, both you and JRod, did you all use D14 release indicator?
D14 release indicator. Help me with that.
Where you have it on both sides, it flick, no blackout, where you don't have blackout.
Yeah, there was no blackout, right, James? That's. I didn't see any blackout when I
No.
shot.
I've
But
never
do you-
seen blackout
do
on
you-
my gun.
Do you
So
know
what-
do you know what setting you use for that?
No, I mean, what is D4? The
So what he's
D4. No, I haven't even done that, Ron.
I think what Ronald's referring to is you have an option to. There's various options for how you set the camera viewfinder so you know that you're actually shooting photos when it's silent.
Right.
And so sometimes it'll show a box. It'll flicker a box.
Yeah, that was on. Yeah, that thing was
Yeah.
on, right, James?
Yeah, you have 3 options. That's why I'm at, and that's exactly it.
Yep.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, we could see it. We could see that it's actually taking the photo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Byron's exactly right. That's what I was. But
Yeah.
that's important to know because I made that mistake of shooting like 600 pictures and didn't know I did it.
Ah.
And I
Gotcha.
promised myself and my wife I'd never do that to our time again.
Yeah, he had that thing going on so we
Yeah.
could tell that it was actually taking the shot. So I'll show you like sort of I did. I took it off of 3D tracking
Okay.
because with backgrounds like this, the 3D tracking was really not even on just the 200 to 600, but even the 100 to 400 Z lens.
Okay.
It just struggled a little bit. It doesn't need to tweak it. It's not a big deal. But when I changed it to the wide area, the full width, I don't know what Nikon calls it, but it's the full area, the whole area, and then animal tracking and IAF on. That's all I left it at. And then it started to do these things. This is a JPEG, but
So Amar, for you, Amar, you didn't use the wide area box.
I did use the wide area box,
Okay.
and I left the autofocus to pick the bird and also the eye of the bird.
Amar, what he's asking though, there's a wide area box where there's actually a box, and there's the auto area, which is the whole
No
frame.
box. It's just the entire frame.
So he used the auto area with subject detect. That's what he did.
Okay, that's what. That's what he used. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I might be butchering the terms that you guys use.
Chuck is asking. Chuck
I'm
is
just here to
making
translate.
Yeah.
Chuck is
You're
asking
my
a
Obama
question.
translator. Okay. I thought you said blackout viewfinder.
No, there was no blackout in that viewfinder at all.
No.
No, none. It was like shooting a video, man. So this one here is very challenging, Ron. So you got to get this right. And this is a JPEG, so you can't even fix this, right? I mean, you can, but I like shots like this.
That's cool.
That's what I shoot. But I want to open up the raw file for you.
Man, come
And I
on,
wanna
somebody.
show-
I'm waiting on somebody to email me, James or Amar.
Yeah, Ron, I'm going to share the folder with you because the files are too big.
Yeah. So you can see. I mean,
And
this
then
is zoomed in all the
there's
way.
that.
So I like shooting a lot of shots like
this.
this, guys. This is me. I mean, this is the kind of shots I like to shoot.
Okay.
With backgrounds like it's no point buying all of these expensive lenses if you can't really just kill the background, man. It just looks beautiful. To me, that's just exciting.
And that shot is that one up right there is with which lens?
200. All of these are the 200 to 600.
Sony lens.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at the eye, man.
Yeah.
It's nailing it like that with the Sony lens. That's just.
But that's why I want to see it.
Hey, Ron.
That's why I want to see it, Baron, Amar, and James. That's why I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see it
James,
primarily.
I want to show them the one up top.
Yeah.
when that dude was he started singing up there, went a little crazy up there.
Ron, it's Ronald33 at pf.com.
No, at me.com.
It wasn't this one. Which one was that when he went?
So here's what I'm trying to say, Amar and James and Baron. I think these are so amazing. I want to see them primarily, not tertiarily. I don't want to see them in third person. I want to see them primarily.
Right.
Yeah, send it to him. And these are not edited.
And Ron, I assume that's because you want to take a look at the Sony lens image.
I was about to go there. I was about to go there, Baron, and say I want to see that because I know what my Nikon lenses will do. I got that.
I can show you what the Nikon lenses do too. I got those photos too here. And
Ron, I shared the whole folder for you, Ron.
I got you, James. I got you.
And it's got the 100 to 400 in here too, right?
Yeah, I look forward to that as well.
There it is. These are the 100 to 400.
You want to see the folder too, Baron?
Sure. You could send it to me.
This is the 100 to 400 on the Z9.
Yeah.
That's with the 1.4 TC.
With the teleconverter.
So 560.
And these are not edited, Ron. So these are raw files, not edited.
I looked at that one with the guy in the canoe.
Yeah. Pretty good, right?
Man, that makes me want to use all my non-Christian words, man.
Can you bring up the photo he's talking about, Amar?
Yeah, he's talking about this. Here you are.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm gonna zoom in all the way, guys. Here you go.
I mean, these are so good.
Wait, we're going back there this Friday again, Ron.
Yeah.
But we don't use our cameras, Ron. We just go to hang out and have fun, and buy more cameras. Never use them.
I sent it to you, Baron.
Oh, thank you.
So this is the
Someone's
200 to
ringing.
600 folder here. There was one, James, that I really wanted to show him.
Was that when those gulls are right in our face?
It was an eagle shot, man. Remember when
right down,
after
right there on the bottom.
Tomorrow about 10 or
That
11.
very last
Is it
one
this
was
one?
pretty wicked.
Is it this one here? All the way the last one?
Yeah, look at that one. Now, I screwed up on this.
Ooh. Is that the 100 to 400?
No, this is the 200 to 600.
Now, I'll tell you what happened here is this eagle was sitting in the tree with another eagle hanging out. So I brought the shutter speed down to about 400, 500, 600 low.
Yeah.
And then he took off and did a lap and came around, and I forgot to speed it up.
Man.
I forgot to speed it up.
Yeah. But he just went nuts. And he still was able to get something out of it, which is not bad, but especially a long lens like that.
What? Okay, I'm sorry, Amar, I don't mean to break in, but give me the number on that one because I'm in the folder looking for it.
Hold on. What happened to the folder? Did I close it?
Which you're looking at? Which one are you looking for?
It's the last one in the 200 to 600. I got it up. It's 48. No, it's 51. No, that's not it either. It's 5400.
Yeah, 5400.
Okay, I'm going there now.
5400. Hold on.
Yeah.
The very last one.
Yeah. This is yeah.
Can you see this?
I feel like Rain Man. Yeah.
You see this one, the one right before that? Look at that.
This is sensational.
Right?
This is excellent.
But you're right. You don't need a DX camera and you don't need a 200 to 600 at all because you can just use the Sony one. You're fine.
Baron, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to text this to you so you can see this. You can see this bad boy yourself.
No, he sent it to me. He sent it to me.
Yeah, I shared the whole folder.
And look at this bad boy. Look at this bad boy. It's not even edited yet. Once you edit this, man, it'll be insane.
Hold on. Let me see which one he's talking about.
This one is 5100.
5100. Okay.
The proof's in the pudding, man. Right?
If this don't inspire you to shoot, man.
It's no.
Hey,
this is what I said. Yeah.
That shot is in DX.
That's in the DX mode. That's right. I even looked it up in the Lightroom.
I was switching back and forth just to play with it because you can.
Right. Right. That was in DX mode. That is correct. Ron, I'm telling you something. Trust me, man. A lot of people. So I'm gonna lay one thing out here, and you know whether people like it or not, I'm gonna be very blunt. Sony lenses, for the money, are very hard to beat. They've really got that shit down. They really got it down, and those lenses are incredible because that lens for $2,000, this thing, it's got dual linear motors in this thing. It's incredible.
I hear you, Chuck. I hear you on that, Chuck. Yeah. We've experienced it already. Thank you, Chuck.
Do you want me to put it on?
It's been Flintlock.
Flint. Hey, Flint, I got a picture for you too. Hang tight. I got something I want to show these guys because I think they argued with you a little bit on Chuck's live stream that the A7R4 can't take a sharp shot with the 200 to 600. I'm going to show you one that I just shot on Thanksgiving Day. I think, Ron, I might have shared it with you.
Okay.
Let me see here.
Be safe. Anyone in the bad weather zone.
That's what Chuck is referring to because
Chuck, you're right.
It was terrible down here, man. It's been raining cats and dogs.
We're gonna get the tail of it here in Maryland tomorrow, Amar.
Well, you know, right behind that, there should be some cold weather coming in too.
Right.
Down here in the south, Okay, Flint Rock. I'm looking. I'll be looking. Flint Lock.
Sony
Flint Lock. Flint
A7R4
Lock.
wildlife. Hang on, I'm
Yeah,
finding
Chuck.
that. I'm finding that shot for you, bud. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me get it up. The A7R4 file takes a while, you know.
Yeah, they sent my wife home early, Chuck. The job did. Because
Really?
the weather was so inclement. Yeah, man. They said, y'all go home early.
All right, I am ready to share, and
I'm
I will share here in
looking
1
Flint
second.
Lock.
Here, you ready? Check this out.
Did Flintlock go out there with you guys too?
No, he did not.
No.
Okay. Ronald33 at me.com, Flintlock.
Why is it not
Yeah,
letting
we
me?
we surprised a couple Nikon guys too. I was walking a big black camera with a big white lens on it, and I told the guy next to me he was shooting a Z9 with the 400 4.5 with a 2x.
Mhm.
He's
Yep.
like, what? He said, "What is that?" I said, "Look, it's a Sony on a Nikon." And
Oh, he was shocked. He used it. He's like, I don't know. He was like kind of shocked for a second. He's like, I don't know about autofocus. And then he started using it. Oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm like, I've been
Flintlock,
telling you, bud.
my email is ronald33 at me.com.
We should have recorded that guy's reaction,
yeah,
man. Next time, he's going to be there Friday, I'm
but
sure.
he had a good setup too. The 400 4.5, even with a 2x,
Yeah.
that's still a good.
So what does anyone know what is the Sony 200 to 600 run?
$2,000 brand new.
Yeah, 1999.
Can you see this?
Oh, I wonder. Yes, that's
Can
beautiful.
you see this shot?
No, is that is that in the folder you sent us?
No. This is one that I shot on Christmas Day. I'm sorry, Thanksgiving Day. Sony A7R4 with the 200 to 600 lens. That's
Boom.
61 megapixels for you.
Hey Chuck, you're right. He said, "Face it, any lens on a Z9 is good."
Well,
You
it's
still gotta have
only
the brain, you know, the
it's
camera's
it's
gotta
only
be-
good. It's only good if you actually shoot.
Yeah.
That's the key. You guys have one of the most incredible cameras. Yet I hear more noise about the camera than I see beautiful pictures from it. You know, I would like to see more pictures from it. You know, seriously, if I owned the G9, I would have thousands of pictures from it. I just showed you what the Sony A7R4 can do. 61 megapixels.
I'm going to send you guys a file here.
You're going to email it?
I was photographing at this event with the Z9, and this little boy had an eye in.
Mark, I'll be right back.
Okay, sure.
This little boy had a leaf or branch in front of his right eye, and the Z9, and the kid was playing in the trees and hiding out in the trees and whatnot.
Okay, email it to me.
Yeah, I am. I'm about to send it to you.
And I will be happy to share it here.
But not only Baron and Amar and everyone else did it get his eye in focus. Look, I want you to pay attention to the skin tone too.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I'm going to share a picture from Flintlock.
Okay. Yes.
So we can actually share that. I'll just share the entire screen.
Yeah.
Why is it not letting me? There we go. Can you see my screen? Yeah, you can. Can you see these pictures here on the left? Yeah. So
Yeah.
This is the one that I shot of the red-shouldered hawk, but he shot this eagle. This is something that he shot. This is shot by Flintlock on the Sony A7R4 with the 200 to 600 lens.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That's a good one.
So
yeah, that's cold-blooded. That is cold-blooded.
Yep.
That's cold.
This is the same bird right here, taking off, and it still nailed the eye. And you don't believe me about that 61 megapixels matters? Watch this.
Hey, hold on. Is JF Roddy?
What about him?
Is that his email?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You can just see the little talons on this guy. Look, this is 61 megapixels. I'm just going in and in and in some more. Look how far in I am.
Hold on. I'm coming to you.
And if you pay attention here, there's even a little bug down here that I picked up.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later, Chuck.
Look at that.
Thank you, Chuck. God bless you, man. I just emailed it to you guys.
Is that enough detail? Want me to go in some more?
Crazy.
You want some more detail?
That's crazy.
So this particular setup right here, right now, if you buy this camera and that 200 to 600 lens, is less than the price of a Z9.
Which camera?
The Sony A7R4 with a 200 to 600 lens.
So this eagle shot with this from
This is from Arthur. Yeah, it's a flintlock shot.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yep.
Yep. So this is the one that you shot, Ron.
Yeah.
This is your shot, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. I love the skin tone.
I mean, I was like, the Z9, the skin tones, Baron. I was like, okay.
Wait, so what are we looking at?
Can you see this picture?
You just put it up the little boy in the tree.
Yeah. Well, whose photo is this?
That's mine.
Ron shot it.
Got it.
It was a candid. It was
And
a candid.
You shot that with the Z9, and what was the lens? Do you remember?
70 to 200.
The Z one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
and I flipped between that and the 24 to 120.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, that's a great lens. 24 120.
Yeah, so Omar, I need to drop off. Hate to
Okay, buddy.
miss out on the fun.
So before you go though, I want you to I'm gonna stop sharing for 1 second so people can see you. I really appreciate you coming on and actually sharing your story at Conowingo. And we're going to make a lot more memories when we go out there again this Friday. James actually took off from work. Scott is driving down all the way from New York again. I have taken off from work as well. By the way, a lot of people ask me about the job. Yes, it's done. The same company did not want me to leave, so they gave me something else to do, and they want me to stay on. So we're good to go. Awesome. And I took the day off, and we will be at the dam on Friday. And that's the goal, because the weather looks incredible. The activity is up, and we are really going to put that Z9 to the pedal to the metal, and the R7 pedal to the metal. Because now it's no excuse. I can't get a good shot of an eagle because you got so many freaking eagles there. Yep. We should come back with some incredible shots for you guys onto a live stream and be able to share that with you on how well it actually does. And now that we know some of these zones from Ron and some of the others, we got you next time, man. Pretty good. So you want to share anything about your channel before you head out and what we can expect coming from you? I know you're all into tearing up old cameras to see what's inside. You found Sony inside an old Nikon camera.
Yeah, that was interesting. Oh, I'm kind of all over the place. You know, I try to add in the art spin to every little thing I try to do, right? So I'm not just any one particular subject, but yeah, I'm prior military, so there's military stuff out there. You know, there's macro stuff, there's bird stuff, there's take apart gear stuff. So
James and I are going to go on probably a mission at one point very soon where we just go and shoot a roll of film. And that's all we're going to do. We're not going to talk about all this fancy mumbo jumbo autofocus business, none of that. Manual focus, shoot film, and just hang out together and do nothing.
I got it sitting here.
I'm digging that. I'm digging that. I love that.
That's what we're going to go do. So Ron, we before you walked on, when we went to Conowingo last time, he and I actually took probably like a mile walk. We just walked.
Yep.
I don't even remember what we talked about. Do you remember what we talked about? It wasn't cameras. I think we were just talking about life.
It was everything.
And then we came back, and then Scott's like, "Hey, man, what about this setting, that lens?" And I'm sitting there going, "Bud, we're almost done here, man, because we just had a beautiful walk."
Yeah, we almost forgot, and then we're like, "What? Stop! There's eagles."
We totally forgot about him because we were ready to put stuff in the car. It's like, "Oh shoot, we forgot Scott. He's still down there." But those are beautiful moments that we want to cherish and take forward, right?
Yep.
So
yeah,
I said
Yep.
Look at what Vic just wrote. He said the F word. I did. It's called film.
Yeah, the film
And you
thing.
guys better ingrain it into your foreheads, because I'm telling you right now, with the amount of film factories that are actually being reborn in Europe, it's insane. It's like almost like a nostalgia. It's like the 70s, getting high type of thing. It's like a natural high that's coming through, and a lot of the young bucks are really wanting to experiment, which is exciting. So if we sell more film and try different things, we might get some different looks. So with that, James, I
All
will
right.
see you
Over.
tomorrow. Is that HP5? Is that a 5 plus?
HP5 Plus.
5 plus. Yeah, I
Brand
can
new.
just see it
Yeah,
from here.
I
Yeah,
don't think was it. What was that? A Mamiya 6.7 you had?
645.
Oh,
645.
645. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James, where are you located?
I'm in Bowie, Maryland. It's in
So
between
how
DC
far
and Annapolis. Say again?
how far are you from Amar?
A little over an hour.
And is it true you guys are just over 3 hours from New York City?
Yeah, about 3.5.
Yeah, I can make downtown in about 3:45. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is,
it's
is
not that bad.
I was
Manhattan.
going to ask you
Times Square.
because I'm like Baron. I'm so used to California driving until when you say to me 3 hours, I'm thinking from Riverside to
No.
and I'm about to hit the Central Coast in
No.
about 5 hours. So I have to.
No. If you say DC, an hour in DC is about 15 miles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not fun.
And I've been to DC many. It's nowhere near as large as LA.
Oh, if anybody comes to DC, man, come on out. DC.
We just have more people with
street
too many
photography
cars.
dream. Yep.
You think you got more people than Los Angeles? Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Really?
Los Angeles has a lot of people on the street, living on the street. We have more people living in the houses. That's the difference.
Baron, do you want to take this or you want me to take that? You want me to take that? They clearly don't know Los Angeles.
Have you been to Venice Beach?
Hey, I have video shot on the R7 to prove it to you.
They clearly don't know Los Angeles.
I gotta say, it's getting pretty bad here.
I give Hagen a hard time about that all the time. No, Los Angeles is great. You just have to find like places where you really want to have some fun. Some places are pretty rough, but
Hey,
that's
Rob,
like that everywhere.
Let us know when you go to New York.
Huh?
When you going to New York?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know, man. After a while, JRod, you've been to so many of these big cities. You're like, I'm good on that, man. I mean, if I'm not there to work or for a specific purpose, if it's not work or family or something with my faith or religion, I'm good, man. I've been there, done that. I'm good. I like the peace I have right now. I like the peace I have.
Yeah.
Oh, Roy, are you stirring trouble, Roy? 35 film or real film?
Well,
if 35 wasn't real film, if 35 was not, well, let me level set this with Roy really quick. If 35 was not real film, Roy, you would not have a full frame camera today. So you better have a little respect for 35. I mean, I shoot some 35, but I do agree with you. The real man's camera is a 6x7 type of thing or 645. When you have that, it makes the Fuji medium format look like a little toy because it's massive. I mean, that negative is like huge. It's huge.
It's funny. I don't think that I can ever shoot film again.
Really? Yeah.
We're doing it just because. Let's try it.
I shot.
We're doing it just because you're in California, man. That's why.
I shot a lot of that stuff, and not having a dark room takes most of the interest of it out for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that was the big part of it for me was all the post stuff, like developing it and like pushing the films. And
where are you located, Baron? Where in California are you?
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in.
You have so many labs down there.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of labs, but it's like part of the fun for me was the darkroom experience. Like I can.
Ilford makes a complete set now, which is like non-toxic chemicals, but they don't quite work out the same way.
All right, Amar, let me get out of here, Amar.
Okay. Yeah,
hey,
I'll call you.
Thank you, everybody. Take a look at those pictures. I appreciate it so much having someone else look at our stuff. It's so fun to collaborate, and it's amazing the group of people we've met through YouTube. It's just look at all the photographers. We get to this is awesome. It's so much fun.
And next time, James, what we'll do is we'll take these photos.
Yep.
I will actually edit these photos, right, and show you the finished product on what can be done.
Perfect.
You know, so that way you're not looking at a raw file that isn't edited. But we wanted to show it to you right out of the camera that I'm not sitting there adding sharpening and none of this stuff to it.
Yeah.
It's razor sharp.
That's it.
And Ron, you have the pictures; you can see it yourself.
And so can
it's living proof. Yeah.
So can Baron.
Well, I'm actually. I mean, first of all, great job, guys, and James, great job. I am impressed by all of it. I'm very impressed by the fact that how well the camera performed with the Sony lens.
Yeah.
That just tells me.
So the one thing, I think there was a comment, right? Someone wanted to know about the AF. I think it was Roy. It was you. Okay, I'll say this. I think, Baron, you and I talked about this a little while ago. Out of the box, Sony and Canon cameras are so dummy friendly that you can pick up, you can start shooting without too much brain damage. That Z9 is such a complex machine that you need to really sit down and understand what the camera is doing and set it up right. Once you get it set up right, the results will really reward you 10 times over. But if you don't learn it and don't even open the manual, you're doing yourself a major disservice of buying a camera of that caliber.
And we just discovered, that's the discovery right there of why it got such a bad rap on the internet. Because most internet reviewers are getting the camera for an hour or 2 hours at a time. It's put in their hands. They don't have any real knowledge of how to use it.
Right.
I mean, that's not true. They might have some knowledge of how to use it, but they don't have like the specific nuances of a new camera, and especially a Z9 that had a completely new system. Yeah. So I think that, it's just not as idiot proof. That's what I always thought.
Okay. Guys, I will see you once again.
Thank you, James.
Peace.
Thank you. And that's why it is so important that
hey man, look who's trying to hop in here. Look at this guy.
Somehow Ron got
up, guys?
What happened to Ron?
Oh, Ron's here. Hey Ron, look what happened, man.
Yeah, I'm here.
Your twin showed up.
What's good, guys?
Hey, man.
Can you hear me?
What are you doing? Are you in the car?
I hope it's not, man. That's not looking good.
Are you in the car, Vahagan?
Yeah, it looks like he's in the car.
I probably want to take that off.
Well, one of the things I wanted to say, Amar, to Baron and Chuck out off if I could say it. The concern that some people had about doing a live chat with Paul's photo is going to take place either next month or in January.
Okay.
So that way they can have live feedback. So somebody said got back to them too. And Mark Coleman and all of them said, you know what, we agree. We do need to open this up more so we can have people communicate in real time.
Right.
They can see each other.
Right.
So I'm just sharing with you.
Were you there yesterday? Were you there?
I was there.
It was cool, but it seems like you can't communicate. It's so
that's what I'm addressing. That's what I'm addressing. Somebody got that to them, Vahagan. And so they said, from what I was told today by Mark, that yes, we are going to update this process so that way we can have more audience participation and they can see each other.
Gotcha.
That's cool.
That'll be interesting.
Hey, sorry about this, man. This thing's all
man, that video was really good, man. I'm excited about making a wide angle video. Next time I'm gonna go really wide.
Vahagan, you have been on the creative shtick, and Baron, your video too was outstanding, man.
Well, my video's not creative like Vahagan's though. He's like getting out there, and I appreciate what he does. I actually haven't had a chance to see the Viltrox.
You're gonna like it. It's cool.
It's right here, and it's right here in my notifications. But it's newer, right? It must be pretty.
Yeah, it just went up today.
Yeah, so I hadn't had a chance.
I hadn't had a chance to look at it either.
Yeah, but I will.
But we'll call you. That's why I called you.
By the way, by the way, should I just take this thing off because this thing's all tangled up?
Yeah, probably take it off.
How's it?
It's fine.
That sounds good.
Oh, that's clear. Yeah.
Hey, what time is it out there, guys?
in LA?
6 o'clock, 6:12.
Oh, you're 6 p.m. Okay.
6:15. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Vahagan, I mean, I really like that. I like the way you actually rolled with it with the multiple camera angles. That's good. I used to do a lot of that, but it takes a long time to do. How long did it take you to do that video?
Just editing it or filming it?
Both. The entire video to get it out the door.
Bro, I filmed it. Took me to edit probably a good 5 hours.
Yeah. So total time probably what, 8 hours?
Hey, Baron, you got to be committed to this YouTube thing. If you're going to do it, you got to be committed, man. If you're going to do it well, if you're going to do it well.
Well, hey,
that's just
check out, guys.
The reason why I asked you this question, Vahagan, it's not to put you on the spot. I want people in the chat windows to really understand what goes through when that video is made. You're watching a 15-minute excitement that's happening that someone is sharing with you. These people have spent days putting that stuff together for you. So at least the best thing that you can do is at least leave a positive comment to make them feel good about it. I mean, that's a long time.
And so, and I want to say this for Vahagan, with that creativity on that's 5 hours of his life.
Right.
I think about the depth of the creativity, because there's depth in creativity as well.
Yep.
But also I think about the depth of what Baron presented on his Z8 piece. Do you know how much time goes into thinking through the language you're going to use?
Yeah.
You guys, that's one of the reasons why I just say, hey man, look, I give y'all kudos, because the depth of thinking you have to do.
I think for Baron doesn't need to think, right?
For you too, stop being funny.
You don't think, Vahagan? You think a lot.
No, meaning like he doesn't need to plan it out. He doesn't need
Actually,
to plan it out.
I wrote some notes for that one. I wrote some notes. I had them on the screen, but I just wrote them like right before I hit play.
No, but come on, Baron. That's reflection. That just like the energy it takes for Vahagan, 5 hours to create, to innovate. That takes a lot of energy.
5 hours is just the edits.
Just the edit.
Yeah, that's my point. That's why I said to you guys,
he's got to have all of the framing down. He has to think about what angle each camera is going to shoot. All of that. That's all prior to the 5 hours.
Yeah, the colors that he's going to use, the color palettes he's going to shoot it in.
Yeah.
The filming is one part. That video was 5 hours, 6 hours. There's narration, there's planning, there's shoot, and then there's also uploading, which is another hour there.
Well, when you did the top view like this on that lens, it made that lens look really small, man. You got to make the product look big, man. It's a big deal, man. It's Viltrox. Giving you a hard time. How is the IQ of that lens, Vahagan? I mean, it looks fine on the video. How good is it, really?
It's for $400.
Is that how much it is? Yeah.
I actually heard
$30.
I don't know, Vahagan, maybe you can speak to this. I heard that it's actually one of the best IQs of all the Viltrox line right now for the newer cameras.
Yeah, it's probably the best Viltrox Z-mount lens out.
Yeah.
It's more than the other ones. It's about $100 more than the other ones.
That's a good deal.
But Baron, that was a compliment, man.
What was the compliment, Vahagan?
Naturally for you. You don't really have to plan.
Oh, well. One thing is talking, another thing is going out and shooting like all the B-roll you shoot and all the awesome music you put in, and like the video production level of your videos and I've watched them develop over time. Because at the beginning you were pretty good. You were already pretty good, but like they've gotten real polished. They've gotten polished, man. I think it's great. I like it.
So we even got to the point where he's so comfortable now. He took his glasses off for us. Look at that.
Well,
I
dude,
don't even recognize him.
Right, Hagen? That's the
I was-
first time actually I have you without your glasses on my channel.
well, dude, it's nighttime, and
Hey man, are you in a limo or something over there?
no, it's my SUV.
Oh, okay.
But what was I gonna say was, it's feels it's fun. Baron will get you. Baron will, he'll see how it things.
It's
So I just
exciting,
wanna
Darren.
keep- I just
Maybe.
wanna
I mean,
keep
I feel like my channel, I think, is more just a mouthpiece for me, like to talk about what I believe is happening in the business, and also maybe to talk about the art of the photography at some point, and maybe show a little bit more of my work and maybe other people's work down the road. But that's, it's a little more, yours is a little broader. I think you have you're doing a lot of stuff, a lot of lens reviews and cool stuff like that. And a lot of interviews. You do a lot of interviews. I thought that was really cool too.
You know what you guys suffer from? You know what you guys suffer from?
What's
You
that?
guys suffer from making it look easy. People don't know how much work and how hard and how dedicated you have to be until something goes wrong.
I'm gonna share one thing with you guys, and I'm glad
You
you
guys
brought
do
this
it
up.
so
And
well. Y'all do it so well.
I wish James was still on.
Mm-hmm.
We got there, guys. I kid you not. James was there probably at 6:30 in the morning. I got there little over 7:30, 7:45 at the dam. It was so freaking cold that morning and blustery wind. And I am not kidding you. We literally were bundled like this and we couldn't even move. Scott, if he's watching here or he comments later, he actually went to some of the Asian people that were there. They take it very seriously. I mean, they bring their noodles and they bring their coffee in. I mean, they come to hang out, and their wives come with them. It's a big deal. They don't fool around. And everything is a 600 f4 for them at a minimum, right? They're lined up. So Scott went over to them like right around probably around 10 o'clock and literally said, I will pay you for a cup of coffee, because it's not like you can just go to 7-Eleven and come right on back. It's not, you're like out there. And these people are like, no, we'll just give it to you. And it became a family type of thing. But what you saw today on those pictures is just a small glimpse of what these people, including myself, went through on that day. That journey is worth 10 times more than the pictures you saw up on the screen today. It has nothing to do with Nikon, Canon, Sony. It had nothing to do with any of that.
Mm-hmm.
We built friendships and bonds through just hanging out and shooting together, sticking together in the cold. That is something that's priceless. And you do that a lot, Wahagan, with Mossman. And every time you do that, it just really reminds me of those moments, because if you can embrace photography and share it with another person that you really care about, I honestly think it's wasted, man. And you got to be able to share it with humanity. I mean, it's an art form.
But and may I add this, Amar? This is why it's so important that in a world that's growing increasingly more dangerous and cold, for us to try to build community through common bridges. That's why. That's why it's important, because what you all are doing is building community where you are, across platforms, across brands, over the internet, across the country and around the world. Come on, man. Well, you didn't have to do that to me. You didn't have to do that to me, Amar. You didn't have to do that to me.
Well, I didn't. He said it, but I was going to just say that you have videos on Facebook. Vicky's videos
I need
on
to be
Facebook.
more. I do. I told him, I said, pray for me, man. I know. But that's what I appreciate about you guys, man. You guys really are building community. I mean, Baron, I've already shared with you what I think of your stuff, where your stuff is and where it could be. And Vahagan, the same. And Vahagan got on me the other day too and said, "Come on, bro." Chuck said it too. Ron, when you gonna get this YouTube thing rolling, man? Y'all both, they've been hitting me upside the head. When you gonna get this thing rolling? And they've been on me, man. And I'm like, I know, man, I know. And I can't use the excuse I'm a solopreneur, because everybody, solopreneurs, everybody's like, man, come on, don't go there, brother. I'm not up on you. We got to see some work, and I'm working on it. I I told you, Vic. Did I tell you I lost my Vahagan? Did I tell you I lost my road dog, Saran, my son? He moved to Colombia, the country of Colombia.
Oh yeah. I thought he's just.
So now I'm looking for somebody who can work with me organically, you know. And it's good for him.
Hey, can I?
It's a blessing for him. It's great for him.
Comment on one thing?
Sure.
I just want to say two things. Thing I said about that's like an easy video. When you're doing like a really big review, it could take 2 days to edit. I mean, you know, it takes a long time.
Yep.
You know, that
Not
5
easy.
hours is an easy video. The talking head stuff is easy. You know, Omar, you talk and you upload it and you're done in 2 hours, maybe, right, Baron?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say that. I mean, a lot of it's just thinking about what you're going to say, but the actual editing is very simple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even simple editing takes you it still takes you like, I probably spent an hour. I'm also not really efficient at it, but I probably spent an hour editing, even though it's almost no editing.
Yeah. But, you know, you spend all this time, right, on this video, and you're pretty proud of the product that you put out. And then, lo and behold, somebody, you know, leaves a disheartening comment. Like you made one mistake in the video, and they point
that part
that
right
out.
There. That part.
The 20-minute video, and that's all they got from the video. It's like.
Well, the funny thing is, Vahagan, I'm glad you said this because the last video, people are like, you know, I don't know why you gotta be so mean. I'm like, do you even understand the meaning of why I made this video? You missed the whole boat. You didn't even watch it till the end. Why? It was because someone came on there and started to really come after each and every one of you that wrote a comment. And to me, I have a problem with that. It's like I don't go do that on their channels. You can have you're right. You can have your own opinions. That's perfectly fine.
There's
That's
a lot.
why I made the video.
There's a lot of people out there, you know, like in answer to what Vahagan was saying, like there's always the naysayers and there's always the people that want to dump on things, but like the fact is it's the creators who make the world work. You know, it's not the critics. So like you just have to like take it with a grain of salt. And also like in my case, it's a little different because like if I was doing what you were doing, Vahagan, I think that would be way more disheartening to just deal with some kind of negativity over some nonsense, like minuscule issue. But like, as far as what I'm doing, like I totally welcome, if people want to disagree with me, that's fantastic. That's kind of what my channel's for.
Yeah.
That's why I called it photography discourse, because it's supposed to be a discourse, which is a back and forth of ideas. And I'm not going to agree with everybody. Everybody's not going to agree with me.
Right.
My track record so far about predicting things has been pretty good, turns out. However, that said, I could be completely wrong and everything I say goes wrong next year and it's nothing like what I said. That's possible.
Yeah, no.
Happen.
That's because subject matter. It's a discourse with you. But when you're doing like a review, when you're taking and somebody comments like, well, why did you have this light there? Or why did you do this? Or this word? Or you know what I mean? It's kind of like.
That's crazy. That's so stupid.
Yeah, I remember. I remember one time I said successor. I was supposed to say predecessor. It was a good video. It was really like detail oriented, and you can learn a lot, you know, from that video if you're like a beginner. And that person just got that out of it and just it's predecessor, not successor. I mean,
well, that's fine. So what was your response to that?
I don't think I replied, but it just takes a long time to do.
Yeah.
People sometimes don't realize like to do these videos. It's not, we don't get paid, you know, it's not like you're getting money.
Right.
We're not getting paid to do these videos. It's like what we get paid is pennies. So
Roy says it's easier to destroy than create, which is true.
Yep.
Without real sponsors, backing you doing this.
Right.
Mhm.
That's why people should really appreciate
You
people.
know what I think of this, guys, as really, this is something that my wife used to say quite a bit. Raising kids is like a thankless job, right? Especially like stay at home mom and stay at home parents. It's really a thankless job, because they don't really see, the value in you being with them the whole time. But once they have their own kids, that's when the light bulb goes off. It's like, oh shoot, this is a lot more complicated than it was. And I was very mean to my parents, and kids do this without realizing. And it's the same thing here. It's so easy to do all of these things. And you nailed it right there, right? It's easier to destroy than create. Well, let me share this. Let me share my screen for a second, and let me share this shot, and then you tell me what you think. Are you able to see Lightroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
This was shot on the Sony A7R4 with the 200 to. You can see it right here.
Yeah.
This is in Lightroom.
Hmm.
There you are. Argue all you want. Go create a nice shot that's worth looking at. I can show you all of my raw files. I got nothing to hide here. Here's another raw file. I love shooting stuff like this with backgrounds. And I think, Arthur, you shot something similar to this. I have
So
tons of pictures like
you
this.
gave me there's an idea for some kind of thing to do online, like this group that's here right now.
Uh-huh.
This group that's here right now, for example, and this would be a way for Ron to be very much involved in a video.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
I could imagine like having like a little like get together. We each submit a photo that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
From each of our photo works. It could be any kind of photography. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
And we all talk about it. And then you also invite guests to, talk about it, or also guests to submit their stuff as well.
That would be quite a discourse.
Yeah. Well, it would be.
That's good.
Sure. I'm just saying because we often talk about, like, we all talk about, I mean, all of us to some extent or another talk about gear. That's not going to change because that's a big topic for the audience. And that's a topic that we all care about as well. But if you talk about how do you do a little more photography stuff, that's a little more brand agnostic, then, it might be cool to just take a look at some photos, have different opinions.
You nailed it on the head.
I agree 10,000%.
You just proved my point right here, Baron, by making that statement. What I just said about that walk, with James, it has nothing to do with the brand that we shoot. It's a human connection, and that's, I think you're trying to say the same thing by, let's take this art form, submit whatever it is, regardless of the camera it's shot on, and actually celebrate the great things that we actually can create together.
So this Flintlock is saying gear is a topic, and I totally agree. And it's one that's not going to go away. We're certainly going to all still talk about that. But then he also said there needs to be a technique topic, and that's a cool idea too. Maybe you choose a technique and see what people, I don't know, just something to.
Let's talk about one thing very clearly, right? So how many people here? Let's just shoot birds or something in flight or a fast moving something. Anyone? Right, Ron? When we actually shoot people, it's not as hard, not as complicated as shooting a bird, right? And tracking it.
Depends on the type of people shooting. If it's a low light concert or an evening wedding where there's dim light in a bad church in a bad building, that can drive you crazy.
Exactly.
That can drive you crazy.
But when you got long lenses like this, guys, what's the first thing that most people do? They'll put it onto a gimbal or something, and where do they put their hand? They're doing this. That's a no-no. That shows you don't know what you're doing. You just have expensive gear. So technique is very important. How do you track a bird? You don't track a bird by holding this thing so tight like this and you do this. That's not what you do. You grab it right here. So these are there for a reason. You usually don't want to take them off. You want to leave this on when you're doing wildlife and birding. This lens is not long enough, but you can see my hand position. Can you see where my finger is? What does this look like, guys? Look like a little tripod?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I doing that? So I can get it stable, and now all of a sudden, how much pressure do I have back here? Not very much, right?
Right.
I can easily just do this and hold the entire rig. So when I'm tracking a bird that is going from left to right, IBIS ain't going to save you on this. Technique will, especially with high megapixel cameras like a Z9 or something like this. So when you have it up here, this is your final point that you're locking into, and then you're going to track the bird along with your face, keeping it steady, not jaggeding it up and down, none of that. You're not doing all that. It's an art and technique. You have to practice it. This is not something that comes to you just because you bought an expensive camera, you're cool.
Every difficulties, man. I wouldn't say birding is harder than people. And
it isn't. It isn't. If you learn the technique, it's the same thing when you shoot. If I were to just take this off, and when you're shooting, let's say, a portrait, and you put this little guy on, how do you hold this thing? A lot of people nowadays do this, right?
Nope.
That's the cool thing to do.
I can't stand that. You got to have 3 points of contact.
They do. It's their own way of shooting. But I have to have a grip on my cameras, guys. I mean, I know a lot of people want cameras with no grips. I have a grip for every camera, including my Sony cameras, because I shoot a lot of verticals. Go ahead, Ron.
I got a question for you guys. What is the key for a good? Tell me one of the most important keys for a good portrait.
What is the most important thing?
What is one of the most important keys to deliver a good portrait to your clients, Ron?
Go ahead, Ron.
Mood.
It is
environment.
I'll
mood,
tell you
man. The mood is set.
Emotion.
The mood you set.
One of the most important keys to portrait photography for your client to like that portrait, because you might love it, you might think it's great, but if your client doesn't like herself or himself, that she could throw that picture away.
Yep.
So it's key to find yourself smiling big, smiling medium, more of like a gentle side of the what side does she like? Does she like the left side? All these things you got to ask and interview with the clients,
So
it's important.
and you're getting onto a topic that we talked about on one of the live streams, Ron, where you were there. The photos that we shared, that was the commercial shoot, and then you saw the one that was actually shot inside a hotel room, something similar to what you would do, Vahagan. But that one in the hotel room had so much emotion behind it that the moment Ron saw it, it's like, that right there is incredible. You got to make it the thing of your YouTube thing, and I did, one of them. It's not because it was just state of the art or whatever it was. It moves you, right, as a photograph when you shoot people.
Like Baron, he deals with a lot of models and female models and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, right, Baron. So you can show them awesome shots if they don't like,
I mean, I think you're right. Like, communication with the subject is super important. But you're talking two different things, because my first inclination was to say exactly what Ron said, because mood is like a thing for portraiture. It's like, are you a feeling? But it's a little different who you're shooting. If you're shooting models or you're shooting like just like regular humans, which is funny because models are humans, of course, but regular people who aren't used to being photographed are much more worried about specifically what they look like, and like if it's the right angle that they love specifically, and they don't really care about the rest of the photo, and the rest of the photo could be amazing, but if they think that their hair looks funny, they will hate the photo. Or conversely, they might love how they look, but as a photographer, I look at the photo and I'm like, I hate that photo. Like, it didn't come out right. The background looks terrible.
Did you see Joe Lyman's live stream when he was on? He's a commercial.
Yeah, he's the guy with the medium format guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So when he took the shots of those women that he knew from nowhere, the amount of emotion that was happening by the time they all departed that day was incredible. And even though he showed them a little Polaroid of it, those people went away with something, taking something away that was very special. It had nothing to do with how awesome the camera was. It really wasn't. It was all of the skills. So you nailed it, Baron, because how you interact with that person and how you make them feel, it's really going to start coming out in what you capture.
I mean, I had a girl write to me, a woman girl. She wrote to me today on Instagram, and she asked if I still had the shots from like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Because she had changed her phone and lost them, and I'm like, yeah, I should have them. I dug them up and sent them to her. She's like, oh, thank you. These are like some of the best shots that have ever been taken of me.
Awesome.
And I get that a lot, so I know I'm doing something right. But it's not just like, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Like, it's very important to have the communication, but it's also like, I have to say there's an element to lighting, and lighting is very important to crafting a photograph. Obviously so, because there are no photographs without light. Light is the only thing that actually matters in a photograph. So from a technical standpoint, not from a emotional standpoint. So there's so it's a balance of a technical and an emotional, and that's why you have technical photographers and emotional like emotional photographers. The word, it's not inference. What's the word? Why am I blanking on that word? But anyway, photographers that are like intuitive, right?
What I was trying to get at was when Amar said, with people, what I was trying to get at is there's so many elements photographing a person that's one of the elements, is making sure they're paying you, right, Ron? Yeah, the mood is important. Everything is important. They're moving.
I'll tell you, I do think shooting people, this is a relative comment, because shooting people is a wide spectrum, and that's, you could be talking about candids, like formal portraiture and everything in between. But I do think like formal portraiture, I think, is harder. Like, I don't want to say this in a weird way. I don't think it's hard. There's an element to it that I think is beyond shooting wildlife. And the reason I think that is because wildlife is more of a technical shooting experience. I think it's technically difficult. And
but you don't have control over life. You don't have control over the animal.
No, you don't.
And you don't have
control over that animal.
But and you don't have control over people. So Amar Vahagan was speaking to something that I was about to try to chime in on. When you ask me what's the most difficult thing, when I think about animals, I've been on, like I said, I've been on 20, 24, 25 safaris. I can tell you what time of the day the lions are going to be out. I can tell you what time of day the leopards, if you find a leopard, they're going to be out.
Right.
The patterns that, based on instinct that they have. Human beings are so complex until you can shoot twins, identical twins, and it'd be two completely different shoots.
Right.
Because there's so many elements. And when it comes to shooting human beings, there's so many categories, as Baron was alluding to, so many categories of shooting human beings. And so when you ask me, Vahagan, or ask us what's the most important thing in portraiture, it depends on what type of portraiture you're talking about.
No. I didn't say the most. I said one.
One, yeah, you did. Well,
big difference.
But even then, okay, here you go. If I study Joseph Karsh and his approach to portraiture, that's very different than native candor. That's very different than Platon. That's very different than Ron Pollard. That's very different than Joe. That's very different than Annie. That's very different, because you have 75,000 different portrait photographers.
Right.
Then you got Danny Batista, who shoots women like Baron do. His approach is completely editorially different than Baron's.
Right.
You got Marie Biersch out of Germany, who shoots phenomenal portraiture of women. Joey L. You got, it's just, the range is so different. And here's the other thing. Here's the other piece. One of the things I do with my students, you guys, and I'll say this on the air, but I won't get into the detail. My students and I work through breathing techniques for different types of portraiture, or different types of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I teach breathing in my mentoring. That's why they got to pay me, because they got to pay me right. You and I talked about that, Baron. They got to pay me right, because ain't nobody, YouTube ain't gonna teach you the details of breathing under these circumstances.
Right.
I don't care how good the camera is. If your breathing technique, Vahagan, and you know this because you do it automatically, you do it without even thinking about it, Vahagan. Your breathing technique goes into a whole nother realm.
Right.
When you're
that's no different than firing like a rifle or a handgun.
But I'll share one thing. So when you shoot fashion runway, right? When you shoot runway models, right? A lot of people think it's easy because they're just walking down the ramp and you just shoot. Everything's going to be hunky-dory. It's not. It's a science. It's highly calculated. And these models are, Hagen, to your point, what is really important, you need that model on that day to really be on their game, right? And you need to be on their game. So if Calvin Klein is looking for that shot of that particular piece of clothing walking down the ramp, you have to know her stride or his stride. How big is the stride of the walk? Exactly when does that foot come off, right? To nail it. It's not about, I got 50 frames a second, I'm going to do this in my sensors. None of that matters. Now you're concentrating on technique and delivery of sort of what the vision is of that shot. And I think that's what Ron's getting at. What type of photography and what is the expected output that you're trying to produce out of it?
Half an inch can make such a difference.
It can.
The way it's stepping makes such a difference. The way her hips are, the way just the way he's, everything is just so like important in runway. Is tough. It's a tough gig. But one thing about animals, I want to just touch. Ron, how much of that killer shot is luck?
How much of what?
How much of that? Because I don't really. How much is luck? Like that killer wildlife lion shot that's amazing has to do with luck versus skill.
There is. If I had to divide it into a pie, maybe 15%, because you got to be there at the right time.
That's what I was getting at earlier.
But your technique got to be so on it.
Yeah.
Your lens, your gear, all of that has to be on it. And so when you do safaris, many times you start out at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning in Kenya and on the Masai Mara. You may start at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And I've, like I said, I've done over 22, 23 of them. And you have to be, and your driver has to be at the right place at the right time and know what they're doing.
Right.
All right. Because so much of it, Vahagan, is out of your control. So much of it being at the right time. So you grab bananas, you grab some apples, you grab some orange juice, and you run to the safari site and you go to where they're going to be, or where they're radioing ahead, and they're speaking in Swahili, or they're speaking in Luo, or they're speaking in Wambui language, and they're talking about where these animals are.
Right.
You got to be there, but you got to be ready. Your bags got to be ready. Your lenses got to be ready. You've got to be ready. So before you go, you got to study these animals and what they're doing. You got to know what they're doing at the certain times of the day and what they're not doing.
What I'm going to do?
I would say 15%, 50, maybe 20% is luck.
Right.
Because as many safaris as I've done, guys, over 24 years of safari, I've only seen leopards 4 times.
Yep. Yeah, you get a lot of disappointment.
I see lions and cheetahs everywhere. I see wildebeest. Wildebeest is like seeing squirrels for us. Yeah.
We were out there running for 6 hours that day, and we saw 2 eagles. 6 hours in brutal.
Yeah, that's got to be disappointing.
So Vahagan, there is that factor.
Right.
But once you get there, and you're in the location, it becomes about technique now. It does. It becomes about technique, timing. Like you can't take your eyes off the animal to get that one shot.
To go get that coffee.
To get that one shot. To get, I always remember I photographed this lion ripping open a wildebeest. I never smelled or experienced anything like that in my life. And all I had was a 70 to 200 lens. I didn't have enough lens because we had to be far enough back. That's when I needed a 400, 500, or 600. That's why those people have those lenses, because for them that's important. May I speak to this one thing you said about runway, Amar?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Vahagan, I'm not trying to dismiss you. I'm trying to get to this point before I forget it. When I was shooting a lot of runway in LA, I was working with, 2 or 3 agencies out there. And I was shooting they were fashion shows all throughout, at the Staples Center, at the Forum, and at, oh, come on, Ron. It's a famous location. Oh, I can't think of it no more, but it's old now. And I used to shoot at these places, and I would go there. No, not the Palladium. It was another famous building, but they had a lot of plays and theatrical presentations.
Not the Wiltern.
The Wiltern. One was the Wiltern. They did have fashion shows at the Palladium or something like that, but I didn't shoot those. I didn't get those contracts. The time I spent with those models, before you could even get to the models, they had to know that you were trustworthy.
Yeah.
Because y'all know how the model.
You're not getting in, man. You're not getting in.
They had to know that you were trustworthy. You weren't no creep. You weren't no little freakazoid. Anything like that.
Yeah.
But you had to know your stuff to photograph these women and men. And the breathing technique, the timing technique, the cadence.
There's a lot to it.
The length, the height. That stuff was so important, man.
And then the other thing is you got to understand the designers, right? A lot of people never spend the time to understand the designers. A lot of people think this is some kind of just shit that pops up on Vogue magazine. It's not accidental, guys. There is so much that goes on in preparing to get that one shot that
Grace Armand
all the time.
Grace Armand, Vahagan, for you, Grace Armand, and you, Baron, because y'all shoot a lot of weddings. Grace Armand is the person one of the people y'all would want to get to, because her fashion stuff for her brides is next level. Mike Cologne introduced me to her and to that whole world of shooting bridal fashion. Because when you look at fashion, it goes to what you were saying, both of you guys, Baron and V, there's all type of fashion.
Yep.
Bikini fashion, bridal fashion, runway fashion, and then, as you said, Amar, the designer fashions, the stuff they do. What
are they looking for? They're not looking for how beautiful your model is. They're looking for how their outfit can sell.
Well, that's it's basically,
and you don't get the little purse that they're walking down with, and this and that. You missed all the accessories. You, my friend, just walked yourself out.
I've been a part of some very brutal conversations, y'all. I've been a part of some very mean, brutal conversations. Not for just others. We go on, V. I'm sorry.
Can I ask you something, guys? Never gets talked about in photography channels like this.
Shoot.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Shoot.
You there, Vahagan?
Hey. Yeah.
You're breaking up there.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No,
can't hear you again.
How about now?
Now, yes.
Hold on. This kind of stuff never gets talked about on YouTube channels.
What kind of
stuff? The topic we're talking about is so interesting.
Well, you're not going to get that because the experience isn't there, Vahagan, and these people don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about their damn sensor and what Nikon's going to do next.
Say it for those in the back of the building. Say it for those in the back of the building.
It's all about what Nikon's going to do next and how big my sensor is. And it doesn't matter if I produce anything beautiful with all this technology in the camera that I spent $5,500 so far. It's dead weight if you don't have technique.
But Amar, to be intellectually honest about what to be intellectually true to what Vahagan is saying, what he is saying is that while that may not be as popular, it is more needed than some of the other stuff because it's filling a void. It's speaking to real issues that those who actually shoot deal with, and those who may want to shoot can learn from some of this stuff. Am I saying it right, Vahagan?
No, exactly. I miss this. I know it involves pros and portrait shooters and work and clients, but these kind of things matter to photographers. You know, it's important, and especially beginners too.
Right.
So I think that that's why I was thinking, like, I don't know that any one person's channel would want to go too much into this, but it would be kind of a cool side project to like have a meetup every so often like this, except it's centered around some kind of, you know, you want a loose skeleton to what it's about. So maybe it's about portraiture one night, maybe it's about wildlife one night, maybe it's about landscape, whatever. And you know, kind of talk about it, and you know, people can join in or whatever. That's kind of a cool thing. And we could try to stay away from gear too much beyond maybe like what did you use to shoot the shot, but after that, that's it.
Because guys, I'll be honest with you guys. Ever since I've got the Z9 and kind of live streams, I've talked about birding so much that, and I no offense to birders, but I would love to talk about, you know.
So yeah, I think birding is something that comes up a lot because it's the focus of high-speed cameras. Like high-speed cameras and birding go hand in hand, and that's awesome. And I think it's like super great, and I have ultimate respect. But I got to tell you, like, I love looking at photos of the birds, and I'm sure I would love to do it if I was out there. I would enjoy doing it because I love shooting no matter what it is. But I don't like thrive on thinking like I want to go shoot birds right now. Like that's not that's not for me like the most thing that I like shooting. I actually like shooting people because I like having that feedback, and I like having the subject see the photo and think it's amazing or not. Maybe they hate it, but it doesn't matter. It's sort of the feedback usually. So for me, there's a different element to photography. No one is more valid than another. They're all relevant, but I do think because cameras have gotten so about the tech, they speak to a lot of action more than anything else because that's what shows off the tech the most.
Correct.
So I kind of sort of agree, like there's a place for it, but like there'd be, I mean, to me, it's really like more interesting to discuss, you know, some of the stuff like Ron has a very deep portfolio of really amazing shots, and he's photographed some extremely heavyweight people. And I think that's amazing. And I look through his stuff and I'm like, wow, those are some great shots. And he got a chance to shoot some really amazing people too. That's friggin' awesome.
Yep.
And that to me is more interesting than looking at a bunch of bird shots for me. So
I mean,
like,
I'd love to dissect some of his lighting tips and techniques. That it's just that we make a living off of photography. So it's kind of, I want to talk about what I shoot. You know what I mean? Like I
So
want
let me share something with you guys that I have never shared out there.
Now, Amar, hold on, Amar. Amar, you have said some of the same things that we're all talking about. That the conversation does need to be elevated many times over.
Sure.
And that's what you hear us now dealing with.
Right.
And I've got to go, guys, because my wife just hit me up. But I want to hear more out.
I suspect
before you go, Ron, I want you to see this one thing before you go, because you know you will probably appreciate this because of the kinds of things you shoot. Here, let me just bring up and let me know when you can see Lightroom. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
More than Lightroom, let's just go here. It's easier. When we shoot fashion runway, I don't share this stuff out there, guys. This is not out there, but this is the kind of stuff that designers are looking for.
Yeah.
Right?
But
And
I mean,
all of this happens in split seconds. You don't
right.
have time to think, right? How are you?
I mean, it's Amar. It's like a high speed product photography.
It is. And
It's
look
like
at this. I mean,
Yeah.
this lady is actually on the runway with the shittiest lighting you can get, and that's shot with a 300 2.8.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And I'm so glad that he spoke to the issue, guys, because that lighting
It's terrible.
is
It's the speed.
and
It's the
see,
speed.
that's the kind of stuff.
It's the speed chess of product photography.
That's one thing. All of these people that sponsor these shows and stuff, they don't spend any money to get the best lighting in there, and you've really got to make something come out of like total shit. It is. I mean, you look at this guy. He actually built a portfolio and landed a gig in Hollywood with stuff like this. But to get this on the runway while they're actually running down the ramp walk, and these guys are all walking. These are all walking shots, guys.
The speed at which it's happening in real time is unbelievable.
Right.
And you better have on 2 pair of socks and your compression socks.
Here.
Have your water and your granola bars with you.
Look at that purse.
You're locked in for the next several hours. You're locked in.
Have you ever seen a purse like this?
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of this. I've done a ton of this. I understand.
I mean, look at this. I'll show you what the model really looks like. She's a beautiful lady. Look at that.
But the lighting is horrible. The lighting is.
Right.
So, and you know what's Baron? You know what, Amar? And it seems like they hired the most amateurish kid that just got out of high school to play with the lights.
Right.
Right.
But the funny thing, Ron, is when you look at these pictures, a lot of people think the lighting's awesome, right? Here, why am I sharing Lightroom right now? To show you, as she is walking down this ramp, look at how that lighting is changing every second.
Yeah.
So when people tell me, oh, it's so easy to do it, and I'll do it with my 30 frames. No, you won't do shit. This is painful, man. But I don't share these things because no one cares. No one wants to learn to do this stuff.
And I don't think
want to talk about what Nikon's going to do now.
And I don't think the iPhone 27 is going to be able to do this.
No, I don't think so either. But you can see 300 2.8. I can just look at it and say ISO 5000. With this kind of lighting, I'm at ISO 5000. You don't want to know what this camera is. It's the 1DC. This cinema camera right here. That's what I shot this on. And here's a 100% shot of it. This is the raw file. It's not even edited.
My brother, I understand. I sympathize with you because been there, done that.
Right.
Baron, that was what many of my years in Southern California were like that. Many of my years in Southern California were fighting with designers and lighting. I would go to locations an hour before the shoot or an hour before the event to please beg them, please give me one light. Just leave one light for 2 sets. Just leave it white. I'll make the adjustment. You leave it one way. No, it go green, purple, yellow, red, blue, orange. And I said, please just leave it white. Just give me white. Just give me white for 2 or 3 sets. Just give me white. They wouldn't, if you're gonna give me red for 2 or 3 sets.
So what is the deal with this shot, Ron?
Huh?
What is the deal with this shot, right? Why is this shot a perfect freaking shot on the runway?
For that designer, that's perfect.
So it highlights her dress.
For that designer, it's perfect.
Her toe is exactly in alignment with her nose. What does that mean? Her entire back is perfectly straight.
And look at her
back goes straight.
And look at her right foot. Her right foot is in alignment.
Her right foot is just coming off.
Yeah.
That is the game. And most people don't get it. They just think it's so easy. I'll just shoot 40 frames per second and just pick one and it's going to be... No, you have to time it. And every model walks at a different pace because some have longer legs, some have shorter legs, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a science, guys. It really is, including this thing that's down here. which is the accessory.
Amar, I've got to run.
Awesome, man.
Got some honeydews, but Baron,
I
it's good to see
appreciate it,
you.
man. I appreciate you
It's good to
joining
see you
today.
too.
Yeah,
Everybody,
Ron,
tell everybody in the chat, blessings to them. Good evening, everybody. I'm not trying to ignore anyone. I just got some
No,
things.
I think we're almost done here
Yeah,
too.
we're
We've
almost
been
done.
on for a good bit, and this is a great topic. And if we want to, go down these kind of, I don't share these pictures out there, Baron, out there at all. But I've done so many things. A lot of people, oh, you don't shoot it. Well, I don't share it because a lot of the times you are under NDAs not to be able to share these things out there that
Right.
people don't understand. So I wanted to share it today because I wanted people to know that you're not dealing with someone that is an amateur fool sitting here running a YouTube channel just winging it. I mean, this is like professional work that people pay you to go and actually shoot.
Well, like I said, I think it would be interesting to with the panel of people we had tonight,
a meetup.
Do a little meetup and maybe with a subject of the day kind of thing, and like everyone can throw in a couple of photos, and people from the audience can submit stuff if they want.
I like that. Yeah. Sounds like photography discourse to me.
Let's plan it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Maybe why don't we do it? You want to host it?
Professor
your channel?
Professor, we could talk about it. I don't have right now. You'd have to teach me how to do I don't actually know how to live stream like this.
Oh, we can show you. Chuck can actually really just give you a master class on restream. Okay. Chuck's got this thing down.
Well, we'll all talk about it, guys. And
all right,
Ron, it was great to see you.
Thanks, everyone, and thank you to both of you, and obviously thank you to Vahagan and James that joined earlier. This was great. I'm glad that the air is clean. Matt Irvin can actually go with his own opinion and knock himself out, do cartwheels if he likes. But at the end of the day, I am convinced after listening to Baron today that we are going to get a DX camera from Nikon for sure. That's going to be a D500 replacement of some kind. Right, Baron?
D850 equivalent.
Right, we are. I think we are.
D850. Yes.
I think we are. I think we will get it.
Yes.
But also, I would love to hear Matt's opinion because he's got a good opinion. It just his is different, and I'm sure he would. I'm sure that he would. I don't even think he actually fully meant what he was saying at that moment. I think he was just in the moment, and I've done that because I've been, like I said, I focus on the Z8. I don't focus on the DX. The fact is, we all love what we do. We all love photography, and that's a beautiful thing.
Hey man, I just am trying to keep everyone the same, right? DX or not, everyone is the same. It shouldn't be one way or another. So
agreed.
Thanks, Ron, and thank you, Baron, for taking the time.
Thank you for the invite,
Omar.
Thank you for the invite, Omar.
Awesome.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. How do I end this thing? Oh, it's up here, hiding. I got so many windows open. I actually didn't even. Can I close it now? Are you still able to see me?
I still see you.